Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
And here we go.
In the Hollywood foothills of North Carolina, welcome to episode 73 of the Confirmed Epic Podcast, the official podcast of the epicreview.com and proudly presented by the Geeks Worldwide Radio Network. I am one of your hosts, the real Brad Bell, and I'm joined today by my friend and co-host, Andrew Stokes, also known as
Andrew Stokes.
Go ahead and get into our Godzilla-sized episode of the podcast, which will culminate in a review of Shin Godzilla.
That's our review this week?
Yes, that's our review this week, Andrew Stokes.
That was going to be my checking out.
Oh, Shin.
Oh, Shin.
But before we do that, as we love to do, let's go ahead and get into some housekeeping.
Housekeeping?
Don't think you're sleeping.
Housekeeping?
Could you come back in an hour?
Housekeeping, you want towels?
More towels. Need sleepy.
Housekeeping, you want mint for pillow?
Please go away. Let me sleep for the love of God.
We here at the Confirmed Epic Podcast are proud to present a new line of t-shirts that will feature our hokey Halloween horror theme on the podcast, which are appearing as bonus episodes. We have a shirt for Anthology August, a shirt for Slasher September, a hokey Halloween horror 2017 t-shirt, and just a general Confirmed Epic Podcast horror t-shirt. You can find all of these at tpublic.com/user/TheRealBradBell, DREEL Brad Bell.
Now, Brad, when is Anthology August?
Anthology August is right now.
Oh, in August.
Yeah, it's in August.
That's a clever title there. What about Slasher September? When can we look forward to that?
You can look forward to that this September, although last year it spilled into November because we got very busy. Now, we just dropped an episode for Anthology August in which Jerry Barbecue 17, Reed, and I reviewed the horror anthology Tales of Halloween, so go ahead and check that out. Guys, all the shirt proceeds go to the
charity.
Confirmed Epic Podcast as far as improving the size of my PayPal account and poster collection. Just know that you're doing a big favor to us, and what's even cooler is just to know that you are rocking the shirts. Now, I realize these shirts aren't for everybody. A lot of people don't want to have any horror collectibles or wear any horror-themed t-shirts. My wife's kind of like that, although she enjoys horror. She's reading It right now.
They also probably wouldn't go over too well at a Free the Nipple rally.
No, they probably wouldn't.
No.
But actually, Abby did pick up one of these shirts, the Jack-o'-lantern tee, the Hokey Halloween Horror 2017 tee. But just go over there to TeePublic, check it out. You know, if it's not for you, that's cool. But if you're a horror hound, a gore whore, just check that out and click buy on one of those t-shirts. We would greatly appreciate it. Keep staying tuned to the Confirmed Epic Podcast, the epicreview.com, and Geeks Worldwide Radio Network this fall, and probably even into the first week in November for these special horror-themed episodes. Andrew Stokes, let's get into what myself, have been checking out this week.
Check checklist? Check. Double check checking of checklist? Check.
Continuing on that horror theme as we roll into August and fall in general, Andrew Stokes, both you and I have been checking out some horror-themed stuff this past week.
Yep.
I just want to start with Room 104. It's a new HBO horror anthology series that's being done by the Duplass brothers. We're 3 episodes into this now. They have different stars come in and cameo. I mean, like mid-tier stars, maybe even C-grade stars like James Vanderbeek of Dawson's Creek fame. First of all, motels in general. This is a motel, not a hotel.
Okay.
All right. Motel, and there's a big difference, right?
Sure.
Motel.
I don't know about a big difference, but
One, you open the door and you're outside. Another, you open the door and you're in the lobby. Now, I realize both have been haunted in the past in various horror movies.
Sure.
Of course, Bates Motel, of course, the American Horror Story, The Hotel, and that. However, hotels, but especially motels in general, I don't know why. They've always given me the creeps. Mm-hmm. I'll never forget, on our way to Disney World one year, we stopped halfway through, I forgot, somewhere in northern Florida, and we stopped at a Red Roof Inn. Mm-hmm. And you remember Red Roof Inn, Andrew Stokes?
Yes, I do.
It was kind of like a Motel 6, Motel 8, not even up to the Holiday Inn. Not somewhere you're staying for a long, extended stay, but you're stopping on the way to somewhere, as we were to Disney World. Now, they apparently had a deal with the actor Martin Mull. Do you know Martin Mull?
Yeah, from that show.
You would know him if you saw him. He is the boss of Roseanne, one of the first gay characters to come out on the TV show. I don't remember his name. The actor's name is Martin Mull, but he ran the diner that Roseanne worked at in the 90s sitcom on ABC. Roseanne, redheaded guy, mustache, always wore glasses. He was a big I think he's still alive. He was a big character actor in the 1990s, excuse me. And he would be on the TV as soon as you turned it on. Order HBO now. Go down to the ice bar. And something about this freaked me the hell out. Like, I wanted to get the heck. Now it was like 9, but I wanted to get the hell out of there, man. Yeah. And it just really freaked me out. So these things tend to scare me a little more than. It takes a lot to scare me with horror. Usually only possession movies do it. Hotel, motel type things probably are a close second on the things that actually freak me out. Man, this show is hit or miss. It hit the first episode, man, I gave a great. I'm not going to spoil any of the episodes here.
Right.
The first one was about a schizo kid. The second episode was about, let's just say, some swingers.
Are they all horror? Because I was under the impression that this was like a wide genre. They've
all had a horror being, whether it's psychological.
Okay.
Or they've all been very freaky.
But the idea is just that all these different stories take place in this one room.
Yeah, Room 104. Not to be confused with Room 237, which is a documentary about the making of the movie The Shining, which I've never seen, but I really want to check out that documentary this Halloween. Now,
before the movie, watch the movie.
The Shining?
Yeah.
I'm going to watch The Shining. I've seen The Shining in bits and pieces. I watched it in college. I don't recall much of that viewing, okay? But I will be watching The Shining in its entirety.
Okay. And then the documentary.
Watch Room 237. I've just heard this is one of the best documentaries ever made, and it got a limited theatrical release. Mondo even did some merch for it, like the famous rug, the carpeting, if you will. I guess it wouldn't be a rug in the hotel in The Shining. Yeah. They released like doormats, medium-sized mats, all the way up to these large, like living room mats. I so wish I would have got one of these at the time. At the time, I think they were selling for $150.
Yeah.
I would have put it in my podcasting room at home. And now they're like $800 for one of these floor rugs. Yeah. Obviously went up exponentially. This show's been downhill since the first episode. We went from a schizo kid, that was great. Okay. Some swingers with James Vanderbeek, who were very freaky. Okay. That was pretty good. The last episode was about a cult. I'll just leave it there. I gave it a crap when I reviewed it on Stardust. Check us out on the Stardust at Confirmed Epic. I know that you're thinking about signing up for the HBO streaming service. Is it Go or Now? I always get them confused.
Now would be the standalone, I believe.
Okay, so HBO Now. Is this something that you would be interested in checking out?
Before you started reviewing it, yeah.
However, you know that you can love some things that I hate. So.
I'm aware of that, yeah.
So now you're probably more likely to check this out.
Sure, it's definitely, it would be lower on my list of HBO shows. I want to watch some Game of Thrones, some Leftovers, Westworld, that kind of stuff prior to this, but Ballers even. Yeah,
the good thing is about horror anthologies, especially ones like this, it's not a season-to-season anthology like American Horror Story. We're talking to episode, so we could get back on track really quick. They come on Saturday nights. It's either going to be 8 or 10 episodes. Just something to get you in that hokey Halloween horror mood, if you will. Andrew Stokes, you've been checking out something horror-related. What movie did you check out this past weekend?
Shin Godzilla.
Yeah, that was a horror movie.
Train to Busan, however you pronounce it. It's
Busan.
Busan?
Yeah.
It's a South Korean city. The movie is basically the story of a father and daughter who are on a train in South Korea when the zombie apocalypse breaks out. And it was really good. It was a very entertaining film. There's some...
You watched it with subtitles or dubbed?
Subtitles. I'm not sure if there is a dubbed version. But if there is, it was not an option for me. But I mean, I wanted to watch the subtitled anyway.
Did Jen and Owen come over and watch it with you?
Yeah, my whole both my sisters, my nephew came over. Yeah, it was a really good movie. I don't want to give too much of it away because I hope that you'll check it out sometime.
Yeah, it's on my list, and I think it's on HBO on demand or Netflix, one or the other.
We watched it on Netflix, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, that must have been where I saw it was on Netflix.
Yeah, it was really good. It was very entertaining.
More action thriller than horror zombie movie.
Yeah, it's definitely more. And there's a few. It's no Shaun of the Dead, but there are a few kind of humorous moments. But it's definitely more, it's a more lighter action film. Light's maybe not the right word because there's a lot of zombies and there's a lot of characters that, become deceased and there's some gory stuff. But
it's not Rob Zombie horror here, I mean.
Right, exactly. It's not even really a horror movie. It's more an action thriller than horror, I would say.
So you'd recommend it?
Absolutely.
What would you rate it on the confirmed Epic rating scale?
Good and a half, probably.
Good and a half?
Yeah.
Was that a tough decision? Were you maybe leaning toward a great and a good, and you went with the good and a half?
I think it probably would have been maybe great to even great and a half if it was a little shorter.
Yeah.
And they were just a few...
Was it 2 hours?
Probably. Maybe even a little bit more. I don't remember. But I mean, it was really good.
All right, so check out Train to Busan on Netflix if you're looking for some outside-the-box horror this Halloween season. Again, more action-adventure, but still, it's a zombie flick, y'all. Check it out. Now, I want to say one thing. There is a podcaster from North Carolina that I respect and I admire. He goes by the name... I won't give his real name on here.
Braun Strowman.
His real last name, of course, his name's Greg. He goes by Greg Mortis. Now, Greg Mortis is a legend in the horror podcasting community. He's been on doing his own horror podcast, Land of the Creeps, for years, and other podcasts call it a right of honor to have this guy on. In fact, I'm a big fan of Horror Movie Podcast, which is awesome and epic in scale. They do like 4-hour long episodes. Like right now they're doing the movies of Stephen King part 1, and the episode was 3 hours and 57 minutes.
Wow.
So check them out if you're just a big horror fan. However, I discovered Greg Mortis through them last Halloween when they were reviewing the Friday the 13th films, going through every film in the series meticulously over like a 5-episode
I remember this,
arc. And I started listening to Land of the Creeps. I listened to 2 horror podcasts. I know that can be a bit much. I don't listen to every episode religiously, but I mean, it's up there on my tier of podcasts. Like, I'll listen to something like this now. Probably only second to Slash Filmcast or Sight and Sound. Our buddies over there, Ryan and Jay.
Yep. RJ.
However, Greg Mortis moved and had some problems he didn't really want to get into, some personal problems. And he took a break from podcasting from last March to last week.
Okay.
And I was getting in this Halloween spirit, and I was just really wondering, is Land of the Creeps ever coming back? Now, Greg Mortis had left Twitter, left Facebook, and he was since back on. There was a big rumor in the horror podcasting community that he was dead. Thank God he's not, and he didn't come back from the dead like a George Romero zombie. But I messaged Greg Mortis on Twitter. I was like, hey, man, when are you coming back? I was like, I know the grind can be real, one podcaster to another.
Yeah.
He's like, brother. He kind of like a Hulk Hogan. he says brother a lot. He's got almost an accent as bad as mine probably. And he's like, brother, I'm coming back this week. We just recorded the comeback episode on all the George Romero zombie films, of course, in honor of the passing of the horror legendary horror director George Romero. He did a 2.5-hour episode, so they're back weekly now. He actually lives in Mount Airy, North Carolina.
Okay, wow.
And Andrew Stokes, I know you're a big Halloween fan, and I can't recall if I mentioned this to you last year, but there is an event called Myers House NC.
Yeah.
And it is a young man, he's probably in his mid to late 20s, a little bit younger than us, who is a big Halloween fan, big horror collector.
Yeah.
And he built his house to model that of the original Halloween film.
Right.
That you see in the opening scene of the first flick.
Mm-hmm.
And he does a big bash every year. They'll invite a horror celebrity out. This year is somebody from the original My Bloody Valentine. And they do a horror movie marathon, or 3 movies. So this year they're doing, I think it's October 26th or 27th, whatever that Saturday is. It's in Hillsborough, North Carolina, right outside of Chapel Hill.
Yeah.
Even if you're not familiar with North Carolina because of basketball, everybody's kind of familiar with Chapel Hill, although we're not fans. But they're showing My Bloody Valentine, Halloween 5, and I can't recall the other one they're showing, but man, they have food trucks out there, craft beer breweries come out there, they have multiple bonfires, they allow people to camp on this property. There's like tens of dozens of Michael Myers walking around, some more movie quality than others. But Greg Amortis goes every year, and I was messaging him on Twitter. I was like, is it worth the drive? He's like, oh yeah, brother, it's worth the drive.
So we're gonna do it,
man. I was
when
thinking,
is it?
It's Saturday. I'm gonna look on my calendar.
Is it the Saturday right before Halloween?
Oh, that's Evan's wedding.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, we can't go.
You can't.
You're going. You got an invitation.
I haven't gotten it yet.
Our buddy. You gotta save the date on your fridge.
That's all I got.
The legendary Evan Truelove, who I will talk about on Confirmed Crap Podcast.
Man, I was already planning on taking that weekend off, so that's good.
His wedding's that weekend, so we can't attend Myers House NC. It's
I'm
the
not
last
sure,
Saturday in October.
Yeah, that's the same weekend that Stranger Things comes out, so he may have to reschedule because I will be busy binging season 2 of Stranger Things.
Man, what a great horror weekend that is.
Yeah.
Stranger Things.
Halloween.
Myers House NC. And Evan's getting married. So I'm really looking forward to that wedding. Of course, I will be there at the wedding and not at Myers House NC. But if you're in the Hollywood foothills of North Carolina.
You can see me there.
Or the dirt hills of South Carolina. Make the trek over to Hillsborough and check it out. I want to go one day. I found out about it at the last minute last year.
I want to go during the Halloween season, not just any one day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, that's what I'm alluding to. But
because we can go on Christmas. They're probably less crowded then.
What's cool is I'm a friend of his on Facebook, and I like the page on Facebook. The guy's name's Andrew as well.
Good name.
So Greg messaged me back on Twitter. He's like, "Yeah, I'm a big fan of Andrew." I'm like, "Oh shit, he listens to the podcast." And then I put 2 and 2 together, and I was like, "Oh, he means the Andrew that lives at Myers House NC."
So he does live in this house.
He lives there.
That's crazy.
And like the front is really prop heavy, and they have he's basically got a horror movie museum with original posters and props and whatnot. Yeah. And the back's more like a traditional living quarters, so you can come tour the front of the home. Okay. I believe it's $5 for a tour.
That's not bad at all.
But he's hosting this, so I mean,
that's awesome.
I think it's a good sign, good show of will to give him $5 for hosting that night. That's awesome that he does that. Yeah. But check out Land of the Creeps. Check out Myers House NC if you're in North Carolina. Andrew Stokes, I've really been trying to plan out my horror movie watching for the Halloween season. I usually like to start in August and go through the first week of November, or at least October 31st. Usually it takes me a day or two to get out of that Halloween mode. But I was going through the top 50 horror films based on Empire Magazine's take last year, my favorite film magazine. I'm still waiting for that Thor Ragnarok issue. It should be in the mail any day.
All right.
And Andrew, I've seen most of these movies. I'm like, shit, this sucks. Like, I missed that feeling you got to experience those classic horror slashers and films for the first time. So I started really thinking about it, putting a list together, and I made a list of some I want to watch. Now, all these are going to be in addition to what we do on Hokey Halloween Horror. This is just me personally watching it. Okay. Drag Me to Hell, Sam Raimi, 2009. That was on that list.
Yeah.
Never seen it. Have you?
No.
I really want to watch it. Stars Naomi Watts. I know it would be campy because it's Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
I've never watched the George Romero zombie films, and I mean the big three. So Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and Night of the Dead.
Yeah.
I think that's the big three. Yeah, Dawn, Day, Night. All right. In no particular order, of course, they chronologically, but they're not really connected from my understanding. Thematically, they're all very different. I want to really watch all those.
Yeah.
I've never seen in its entirety Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. Have you?
I don't think I have either.
Now I've seen, American Psycho.
Yeah.
I've seen the Vince Vaughn one,
I haven't seen that either.
the Christian Bale one, but I've never seen the original Psycho.
Yeah.
And it's $12 on Blu-ray on Amazon.
You'd be stupid not to get it.
Yeah. I almost ordered
Is
it
Birds on
today.
Blu-ray yet?
I think so.
God, that's a movie I haven't seen since I was young. I want to see that again. I loved Birds when I was younger.
But I really want to watch this, and what's got me in the mood to watch this is Bates Motel. So last year, Abby and I were binging American Horror Story from mid-September through Halloween. We were caught up through all the seasons through Roanoke, and I was really missing that. So I was like, what's some horror TV shows I could check out? Scream popped up. I've seen that. Of course, I'm browsing through Netflix. And I'm sorry if I'm hogging the conversation. Andrew just didn't check too much out this week. But I just want to say that Bates Motel, pretty damn good show. Now, it's not on the level of American Horror Story. My mom was a big fan of this show, and she recommended it to me, so I took the show with a grain of salt. However, it's got Vera Farmiga in it, who is in The Conjuring. And I didn't realize this. I was reading about the show. Yeah. She won an Emmy for her role as Norma Bates on Bates Motel. And when you watch the show, it's evident because she's like on an A level and everybody else is on a C+, B- level.
Yeah.
So she really outshines everybody to a point to where it's almost off-putting. Abby didn't like the show, unfortunately, but it's one I've continued to watch on Netflix on my own accord. So I'm going to try to watch all of Bates Motel. It's 10 or 13 episode seasons, and there's only 4 seasons.
It's popular. Some people really seem to like it.
Yeah. Did you watch any episodes of this ever, Andrew? Stokes?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
Is there any
What channels
reason
does it come
in
on?
particular? Well, it's over now. It
Okay.
ended like last year.
NBC?
No. That was Hannibal.
Which
is another show I want to watch because it's got Mads Mikkelsen. It's supposed to be incredible, especially for an NBC drama.
Yeah.
But Bates Motel was a weird channel. It was like A&E or something, man.
Really?
Yeah, or maybe it wasn't E.
No.
It wasn't AMC. I don't know. We'll have to
might have
look
been
this
A&E.
up.
That sounds
I think
good.
it was A&E, which is weird for a show like that. It does feel like that would be an AMC or FX show.
Yeah.
And I am, a sucker for high school dramas. You'd think I wouldn't be as a high school teacher because I see this crap up close and personal every day.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about a hyper-realized, fictionalized version of it.
Yeah.
And this has some of that OC-ishness in it, if you will.
That arrow flashiness to it?
No. That's adult stupidity.
Oh, okay.
So when they
Sorry,
act,
excuse
you have
me.
that
This is
drama
serious
in those
drama.
shows, you're like, these are freaking adults. I understand why kids would act this way. In this case, 24-year-olds playing 16, 17-year-olds, as we see in most of these shows. But if you haven't watched Bates Motel, watch the first episode and see if it's for you. I think you may enjoy it if you're a horror fan. Andrew Stokes, that's all I've been checking out this week. So let's go ahead and take the train from Basan to epic news this week. Andrew Stokes, let's get to one of your favorite film franchises of all time, if you can call one film and 3 more that have been promised a franchise, which is Avatar. According to reports, Josh Brolin turned down James Cameron for Avatar 2 that's going to be released December 18th, supposedly, 2020. And the only reason that I kind of wanted to talk about this at the top of Epic News is
because you hate Avatar.
I hate Avatar.
Okay.
We talked about the general coming back from to life.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
A couple weeks ago, maybe even last week's episode.
Maybe he's going to be part robot.
All right.
Or no, maybe he'll be an Avatar.
Hey, I'm just wondering this. I'm wondering if James Cameron went to Josh Brolin to be the new general type. He's like, I don't want to do it. James Cameron's like, F this. I'm just going to bring back the other guy from the dead. He was pretty good.
Yeah, I think Josh Brolin is just very busy with Avengers and Deadpool and stuff going on. He probably didn't realize that this film was not going to shoot for like 5 years.
So I don't think this is good or bad news for the Avatar franchise. I just put this here to troll Andrew. Andrew, let's go from Trolls to Gremlins. Gremlins 3, the script is complete. The film's moving forward at Warner Brothers.
Okay.
It's supposed to be a much darker continuation, so not a reboot, remake, new take, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
I'm a big Gremlins fan, especially the original, produced by Steven Spielberg. Gremlins 2, a lot different. Pretty good movie, not an epic movie.
Who's in Gremlins 2?
It's the same two actors.
I thought there was somebody that's in Gremlins 2, like a now famous actor.
A now famous actor. That girl that played Phoebe Cates in Fast Times at Ridgemont High is the famous girl who's in the Gremlins franchise. I can't remember her name. Let me look that up real quick.
I'm looking it up.
We'll just say Phoebe Cates stars in Gremlins 1 and Gremlins 2 and Fast Times at Ridgemont High if you want to see some of her more revealing work. Andrew
Howie
Stokes,
Mandel played Gizmo?
I remember hearing this back when Let's Make a Deal was very popular, but I had forgotten it. But yeah, he did play Gizmo. God, that is a callback right there.
Corey Feldman's in it.
Yeah. Andrew Stokes, were you ever a big Gremlins fan?
No, I mean I like Gremlins, but I'm not. It didn't have a hold on me like it did you.
Yeah, it was. Of course, it was a little past my time. I think Gremlins came out in 84, 85. I was born in 87, but it was one that was showing on TV all the time.
Yeah,
like WJZY in North Carolina, and
shout out.
I think it was like a Fox affiliate or something. I can't remember. Maybe it was an ABC affiliate.
UPN.
No.
Who was UPN?
It may have been UPN before it was UPN. Good times.
Good times.
Was UPN WB Family? The WB? I think it went...
I think so. I feel like there were shows that were on WB and there were older shows on UPN that would have been on WB.
I just remember Seventh Heaven was on WB.
Yeah.
Smallville was as well, of course, being owned by Warner Brothers, DC Comics, and Superman.
Pokemon was as well? I'm pretty sure that was Kids WB.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a Pokemon fan like you are, so you would know better than me.
Yeah.
But I'm a little nervous here because Gremlins is very comparable to Ghostbusters in it's an odd formula that just seemed to be everybody was at the right place during the right time. It was horror, but it was cutesy horror with science fiction. I mean, it's hard to it's such a mix and mash of genres.
Yeah.
And I feel like
it's almost like horror E.T. almost.
Yeah. And I think that's going to be magic that will be hard to recapture. And I'm really nervous about them pouring water on the Gremlins franchise and turning it into something very ugly here, folks.
It's after midnight. Let's stop feeding it.
Yeah. So I'm excited for this just because I want to see Gremlins brought back into the zeitgeist. But if you don't have something good, please do not bring this to fruition. WB.
Oh, they got something good. It's a Gremlins franchise. It's the name brand. That's what they have that's good.
It would probably make a ton of money marketing Gizmo.
A ton?
Again. Yeah.
A ton of money?
Maybe a ton. I said on a previous episode that Saban may have $1 billion franchise on their hands with a live-action Power Rangers adaptation.
We're in the money.
So take that Gremlins comment with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Speaking of money, you can now see movies much more affordably with MoviePass. Andrew Stokes. For $9.99 a month, you sign up for MoviePass. You're sent a MoviePass debit card. However, you cannot see more than one movie in 24 hours.
Yeah.
You cannot pre-order tickets to a movie.
Yeah.
You have to be within so many miles, let's just say the parking lot of the movie theater for which you want to buy a ticket, and you just use your Movie Pass card.
Right.
And AMC is freaking out over this, Andrew.
Yes, they are.
So I never had Movie Pass.
What?
It was $50, then it went down to $35, and of course this has been in all the movie website news headlines this week.
Yeah.
Because the AMC, is it a lawsuit officially now? Have they taken legal action, or are they just
They're
threatening legal action?
exploring legal actions, yeah.
Okay. How do you feel about Movie Pass, first of all, before we get into the AMC stuff?
As a consumer, sounds great. You know what I mean?
I would totally get this, especially in the summer, being a school teacher. Like, those movies that I'm on the fence about seeing.
Yeah.
I'm spending over $40 a month at the movies in the summer.
Yeah,
anyway.
I mean, it's $10 a month. One ticket. Usually, one ticket, you're already making your money back. You know what I mean?
It's weird. I start getting I got a text from my father-in-law.
Yeah.
And friend of the show, Joe Roberts, said, "Have you ever heard of Movie Pass?" I'm like, yeah, it's like $35 a month. So they're like, no.
No.
I opened up my phone and went to like Slash Film, and I was like, oh, there's some news about Movie Pass here.
Yeah, a little bit.
And it's really dominated the headlines, as I mentioned, but Movie Pass sounds too good to be true.
Yeah.
And it may be too good to be true.
And that's AMC's problem.
For people who really don't know about how the movie industry makes money, the studios are the ones bringing in most of the cash.
Yeah.
It is through concessions that movie theaters make their money. That's why there's such a upcharge.
Yeah.
So the thinking of most chains outside of AMC, of course, is if we get more people in the theaters, because we're showing these movies anyway.
Yep.
Then that is the more concessions we can sell, and it will be good for the movie theater industry as a whole, which I don't know if I could ever see movie theaters completely going away.
Yeah.
But I could see a time period, let's say a decade from now, in which if you pay $75 for some subscription service, you can get every new release at home for $30.
Yeah.
Just to watch maybe one time. And there are companies that do this for very wealthy individuals.
Yeah.
I think there's a service you pay $50,000 and you can see every new release for $50.
Yeah.
And I think every studio except Warner Brothers participates in that. And one of the reasons Warner Brothers didn't is because Nolan came out just pissed about it.
Yeah.
And there was a fear he would leave the studio.
Nolan's a big champion of the movie theater.
Yeah, and actual film and all that.
Sure.
So let's get into the AMC stuff. I think Movie Pass for $10 is something we'd both consider.
Yep.
I think I would go ahead and pull the trigger on it. In fact, I almost did, but
the site crashed.
Regal's near me.
Yeah.
AMC's near you because AMC bought out the local Carmike.
Correct.
So at this time, it wouldn't make sense for you to get Movie Pass considering what's going on legally.
Well, they're accepting it right now, though, so.
Yeah. Okay. What is AMC's problem here?
So what? According to them, their big problem is that they don't think that their business model is sustainable, and they're going to go under.
Movie passes.
But I'm really not sure exactly how that is supposed to affect them. I don't know what the kind of contract maybe they have with them. Maybe they're afraid of not getting paid, I guess, perhaps. I'm really not sure, because who cares? You know what I mean? Again, I don't know.
AMC is going to get the money regardless because Movie Pass. So a person sends the money to Movie Pass.
Right.
Then Movie Pass sends said money to AMC. So it's not, or any other chain, Regal or whatnot. So what's the big deal here?
Well, again, I don't know when the money goes. Like, is it a once a month thing? Is it once a quarter? Are they worried that people are gonna get Movie Pass like bonkers, go to the theater, and Movie Pass is gonna go defunct? Like, I don't know.
Here's the thing: if we get Movie Pass, I'm talking not from AMC's perspective, from a consumer perspective. Two guys that I'd say we see a lot more movies than your average person.
Yeah.
A lot of that has to do with the podcast, but before we ever did this, we were big movie fans in general. That's why we started the podcast. If I get it and I see a year's worth of movies off of it and they go under, that would suck, but I don't care. I got a year's worth of movies now.
Right.
If AMC is owed a bunch of money and they never get it, that could screw over AMC.
Yeah.
There needs to be some type of promise contractually of an instantaneous payment, which I know can be done.
Yeah.
From Movie Pass to AMC.
Yeah.
And I don't see why that would be hard to work out.
Yeah. Well, the other thing from a consumer standpoint, I guess, I don't know if this is a worry to you or not, but basically the whole idea of Movie Pass, of how they're able to make it so cheap, how they're able to offer $10 a month and still pay the theater all this money, is their plan is to sell the consumer's data, all their users' data. And their idea is they can make enough money off of that data to subsidize the money.
What would be the said data?
Well, I guess whatever data they collect.
Would
I mean,
it be
definitely
the movies that I go see, or are you talking about like social media type stuff?
Well, I see. I assume it's obviously what movies you're seeing, because they're able to collect that data. But I'm assuming it's stuff like that. It's going to be great data for
I tell
movie
everybody
business.
what movies I watch anyway.
Exactly. Like I'm somebody like I haven't tried through the sign up process, so I don't know exactly what all information they're asking for.
What is your social security number?
Yeah, that'd be a little troubling, but it doesn't. I can't imagine it's any sort of information I really care that much about or isn't already out there. So
yeah, I'm not really worried about that. The only hang up with this is it's not going to work for like your Star Wars The Last Jedi because you can't pre-order tickets for this.
Well, the other thing too is like you said, you
can't pre-order tickets for films.
Right. You can't. You also said you can only use it once during a 24-hour period,
yeah.
which normally isn't an issue. But I think 2 or maybe 3 times this year I've seen back-to-back movies.
Yeah.
So I'd have to pay for.
But
one
that's
of those
probably
ones.
not most consumers. But
no, it's not even me usually. It's been a unique year in that sense for me.
At the same time, I mean, you're the type of consumer they're going after.
No, absolutely.
I'm the type of consumer they're
the one that
going
doesn't
after.
care about who knows his information and data.
As long as he or she can see cheap movies. Up on doing a little research on this topic, and listening to a few podcasts about it. Apparently, this is already a big trend in Europe.
Yeah.
Specifically in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Movie Pass. I think Movie Pass is fairly big over there, but I think they even have like a competitor over there.
I believe so.
And I remember, speaking of Empire Magazine, the world's best film magazine, there was an advertisement for a Movie Pass-like service on the back of one of their magazines. So
it was called, "Hey, have you checked this out?"
So do we wait on? You can cancel at any time.
Yeah, I mean, even as somebody whose local theater is an AMC, I would still and probably will still sign up for it. I
think I'm going to sign up for this.
Even if AMC says I'm not accepting it, I'll probably cancel at that point because I'd have to start traveling to watch movies. But
from one AMC to another, let's move on to the AMC television channel. Robert Kirkman, The Walking Dead, AMC in the news for all the wrong reasons this past week.
Not all the wrong reasons. Some
of the wrong reasons. So apparently, The Walking Dead, as far as the network, AMC, did not give the crew, or is it just Kirkman, Andrew Stokes?
The executive producers and stuff, I believe, are all in it. There's a lot of people in on this.
When we say the crew, we don't mean cast. All right, we mean, like Andrew said, the producers and a creator, Robert Kirkman, and some of the showrunners like Greg Nicotero, and I can't recall off the top of my head the other showrunner that people are familiar with. But
Frank Darabont, but that's a separate thing.
Yeah,
he was
like
the original
first season.
Yeah,
and then they had a falling out, and that's a whole different story for another zombie-filled day. However, this is not good.
No.
Like AMC has one of the most profitable TV shows. I know they're paying a lot for the rights.
Yeah.
But probably outside of Game of Thrones, maybe the most profitable TV show on cable television.
Yeah.
And they're not paying the producers and the guy who created it. Allegedly, to the fact that he's filed a lawsuit and came out publicly about this. Why would Kirkman come out publicly about this if it was not true?
the same reason anybody else would. I'm not saying it's not true.
Would just be like way out of left field. I mean, it just doesn't sound like a frivolous lawsuit.
No, I mean I agree. It's not a usual thing, especially for an active show. I mean, these are people that are still currently working with AMC on this show. But I mean, again, I mean that's how our system works. This is all kind of alleged stuff. Their accusations are basically not so much AMC is just simply withholding funds from them, but the AMC is purposefully like kind of smudging certain numbers so they don't have to pay them as much.
The books
Exactly, or they're underselling. Like they could be selling certain parts dealing with this franchise for more money than they are,
like the toy rights and other merchandise,
right? And so that would give more money to them and stuff. So that's kind of what the argument. It's not just straight up AMC is not giving them their money or whatever. You know what I mean? Okay. It's a little more complicated. Or
I'm glad you clarified that for me and the listeners of the Confirmed Epic podcast. That being said, my advice would be hire Weiss and Benioff from Game of Thrones. Let them do a 7-episode rushed ending to Walking Dead, and then end the series.
There's no ending in sight, my friend.
I know. Well, apparently he's going to end the comic book within the next 100 issues or so.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, he has an end planned.
Boo.
And I'm glad. It needs an end. I think that's what makes Game of Thrones so good, is there is an actual planned ending. Now, it is Weiss and Benioff adapting what George R. R. Martin told them in HBO. Yeah. Allegedly, yeah. What his ending was, which is going to be somewhat different, but with pretty much within the spirit of what George R. R. Martin would have done. Let's move on to The Last Frontier of the Epic News segment with a recently announced game, Planet of the Apes, The Last Frontier. Andrew Stokes, you told me about this in our pre-show meeting, so tell me about, and our listeners about, Planet of the Apes, The Last Frontier.
It's from developer Imaginati, I think. This is their first game, and I believe they are maybe part of the Imaginarium or so. That's Andy Serkis's motion capture studio or whatever that he has. But it's basically, it takes place between Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and War of the Planet of the Apes.
Which there's already a book about that, but this isn't in canon.
Well, it may be in canon. I don't know about that. But because it has nothing to do with Caesar and his group. It's like a separate group of humans, a separate group of apes. I think it takes place in Utah, I think is what it is. And basically it's a choose-your-own-adventure type story, like Telltale's The Walking Dead's, like Stranger... Jeez, what can't I think of that name?
There was a Telltale game for Game of Thrones. There has been a Telltale Batman game. I'm not a big fan of those. I'm not a big fan of any video game. Hell, if I was a fan of a video game, it would be those push button video games, because again, you get more of the narrative out of that. But
Life is Strange is another one from Don't Nod. It's these kind of interactive stories is basically what they are, and that's what this is. But the what they're trying to do here is make it more of an interactive movie. It's not going to be. Have you played any of these, like Telltale's The Walking Dead? But have you seen them played or anything?
Yes.
So there's like dialogue where you make choices and it can affect things. But then there's you go around, you get to solve puzzles and do this. There's actual gameplay. And the idea behind this is not basically that there is no gameplay. Like at no point are you controlling the camera and looking around or anything like this. It's essentially...
That's my kind of game.
It sounds like it's essentially, I think it's supposed to be like 2 or 3 hours long, and the idea is it's going to be like an interactive movie where you're going to control the choices of at least one ape and one human that we've seen so far, but you're going to be on both sides of the story, and you're basically just making decisions. You're not actually controlling physically a character and walking around, and supposedly, I mean, I forget, like whoever's directing this, I mean, all games have directors, but they're trying to do this more from a cinematic point of view.
As long as it doesn't ruin Planet of the Apes Revelation, which is the novel prequel to War for the Planet of the Apes.
Has nothing to do with it, so
I am completely good with it, because all of a sudden I'm getting these flood of Planet of the Apes like other stories sit in the Caesarverse here. Yeah.
Well, this one, all the characters are all motion captured and stuff as well. If you've seen some of the gameplay, which there's IGN had like 6 minutes of gameplay or whatever.
It looks good. It looks like authentic movement. You can tell that it's mocap.
The apes. There's a scene with the apes where they're doing like the hand signals, like the sign language and stuff. Like it's really good. You can immediately recognize it. Oh, this is a Planet of the Apes, a current modern Planet of the Apes thing.
Which I just loaned Andrew Planet of the Apes Firestorm, which is the Dawn prequel.
Firestorm with me, it's called.
And I want
That's not what it's called.
A.K.A. Andrew Stokes to read that. It's a real quick read.
I'm already on chapter 3.
It's only 300 pages, and it's really easy to digest. If I read it in 3 weeks, he'll read it in 3 days.
I can read good.
So... just a really good book in here that I'm going to wait to talk about with Andrew. But these books are really good, Andrew, and I hope that this game will follow in the...
Yeah, supposedly because this is, of course, their talk on it, the studio's talk, but their thinking is because they're not having to render this whole world and it's like a fixed point of view that they can basically up the graphic fidelity of it and make it a better looking game. They're claiming it's like the graphics are kind of up there with the movies. They're not quite there. They're not quite there.
Especially the last movie.
Yeah, they're not quite there, but it is a really good looking game. It comes out this fall for Xbox One, PS4, and Steam. Steam specifically, I assume just PC in general, but Steam specifically will be on. So I'm excited for that. I'm ready to check it out. No word on price or anything yet, and since it is only supposed to be like a 2 or 3 hour experience, from what I understand, that'll be a factor into it. But supposedly, I mean, it says it claims I think you're making a choice every 15-20 seconds or something like that.
That sounds like a lot of choices.
It's good though. That's one of my favorite things from those type of like Telltale style games is those choices. But it is more on the story. It tries to be less gamey about it. So there's no like you make a choice and it's like, in certain games it'll let you know, oh, this was a big choice and this has greatly affected things. You know what I mean? It kind of gives you that little nod in a lot of these games, and this one's not going to do that. It's just going to keep on going.
Well, I definitely will check it out in the form of watching you play it. Okay. Maybe one day before we record a podcast.
Maybe I could do a Let's Play.
That would be cool.
That would be interesting.
Let's go ahead and fire, just like Caesar would not fire a gun and Koba would fire an assault rifle.
That was a stretch.
Ahead to our rapid fire segment of news. Rapid fire news. Here we go. Blade Runner 2049 will be rated R. No surprise there.
Nope.
Robert Kirkman has signed, speaking of Kirkman, going back to The Walking Dead, he signed an exclusive TV deal with Amazon for future products. He actually has his own imprint within Image now called Skybound Comics. Yeah. And any of his future projects are now going to be Amazon exclusive.
Yeah, this deal was announced before I heard about the AMC lawsuit. And it's like, I was wondering, well, that's interesting, but maybe we know
that makes sense. A big F you to AMC.
Does anybody have the rights to, what's that superhero property he does?
It's the one that Greg Miller loves.
I just had it on the tip of my tongue.
Invincible.
Does anybody have the rights to that yet, or is he still has those?
I think somebody has the film rights.
That's what I thought.
But I think that probably, I have not read Invincible. Based on what I've heard, it may make a better TV show than it would a movie.
I would imagine, yeah.
Probably like an HBO show, because it's...
Or like an Amazon show.
Yeah.
Man, the High Castle's been great.
True. I've only watched one episode of that, but... It was a really good episode. I'll say that.
Okay.
Now on to Bates Motel. All right, Glow Season 2 has been confirmed for Netflix. Andrew, you excited about this?
I am.
Okay, so you think there's somewhere to go with this story then?
Yeah. Season 1 was good. It was short. It felt really short. I guess it was, I think maybe it was 10 episodes or something, so it probably wasn't that short for these type of shows. But
And you gave it a glowing review, so I'll take your word for it. Netflix is in negotiations to keep Marvel and Star Wars content on the Netflix streaming platform. This comes in the wake of Disney announcing their own streaming platform for 2019. My initial response to this, Andrew Stokes, is why the hell is Disney going to make a streaming platform if they're going to keep Marvel stuff and Star Wars stuff still on Netflix?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, It's Disney. They seem to know what they're doing with their properties, though. So
I heard a good suggestion from Peter Sharetta, the runner of SlashFilm.com, my favorite website. And Peter was saying on their new podcast, Slash Film Daily, remember how Disney used to advertise their DVDs and Blu-ray as coming out of the Disney Vault?
Yep.
He has said that they should call the streaming service the Disney Vault.
That'd be a really great name for it.
Yeah, and now you have access
to the Disney Vault.
Yeah. I think that would be really cool.
That would be cool.
Peter's a brilliant guy, so Disney should listen to him. Spider-Man Homecoming, speaking of Disney, has passed the $300 million mark at the domestic box office.
Yeah.
I mean, this is okay. It's really good. It's not like incredible numbers at the box office, but a lot better than what Amazing Spider-Man 2 had.
Its the numbers worldwide are still, I think it's needing some catching up, but it just opened this past weekend in Japan, I think, and it hasn't opened in China yet. It hasn't opened in China until like September or something.
Shin Godzilla to die down before they release Spider-Man.
But I mean, Spider-Man, that's a big market there, though. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
It'd be interesting to see how much what kind of boost it gets at that point.
He's probably the most recognizable hero worldwide, even beyond Batman. Like, I've read things where he really
That's because Batman hides in the shadows.
Yeah, with the international audiences. Silver and Black, the Black Cat and Silver Sable movie, has been officially announced for February 9th, 2019.
All right.
Who cares? Dolph Lundgren is King Nerus in Aquaman.
All right.
Jerry Reed is excited. Sony has... I actually do want to talk about this for a second. Sony has removed Bad Boys 3 and what would have been the subsequent Bad Boys for Life, a fourth Bad Boys film, from its slate.
Yeah.
Surprises me considering the lack of established properties that Sony has. And the lack of success they have had with those properties recently, like the Ghostbusters. But I am excited.
Baywatch.
I was really excited to see Bad Boys 3 just to complete that trilogy because the first two are so great.
Yeah.
That's probably in the upper echelon of Michael Bay's work. I don't know if that's saying much. I'm not saying it deserves a Criterion release or anything.
It's no whatever.
Armageddon
was good. 13 Hours wasn't bad.
I hadn't seen that yet. Adam Dixon's favorite movie.
I think it's up there in his filmography of films. I think with Pain and Gain, I still really like.
The Rock and Armageddon are my favorite too.
Yeah.
All right. Transformers: The Last Night will be hitting home video September 26th. Get your pre-orders ready.
Oh boy.
Get your wife ready to cancel those pre-orders.
Is there a collector's edition with like a statue that comes with the Blu-ray?
Unfortunately, I wanted it to be the Knights of Icon.
I want it to come in this small little emblem. And then when you take it out, you take the movie out, and then it transforms into a sword.
That'd be cool.
That'd be
talisman?
Talisman, whatever, yeah.
That'd have been cool if that was the case.
Super cool.
Speaking of giant robots, Power Rangers Legacy has announced and up for pre-order now on BigBadToyStore.com. Put this out on the Confirmed Epic Podcast Instagram account this morning, which you can follow at Confirmed Epic Podcast on Instagram. A Green Ranger full-size prop replica helmet for $120, a Zeomorpher for $120, and a Gold Ranger staff for $180. These are out February 2018.
What's the...
You can pre-order
I know
now.
We've talked about the Gold Ranger staff before on the podcast.
Yeah, we have, but it was never up for pre-order. And I looked and scoured the internet for images from it from SDCC 2017. I could not find any.
Okay.
But now we got
Green Ranger helmet.
I mean, it looks like the freaking prop.
How much is that Green Ranger helmet?
$120.
Ooh.
But it's I mean,
will it fit my big old head?
Cool. It has a stand, and it's more for display.
No, I'm going to put that sucker on.
It wouldn't fit my head. I know that. But,
oh, man.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. The thing with Legacy is the only thing I would collect would be Green Ranger stuff.
Yeah.
I had the Morpher and sold it. I never owned the Dragon Dagger or the Dragon Zord. Talking about Legacy, I have the original stuff. I don't own the communicator. And now to say I picked up the helmet, to go back and try to pick everything up on the secondary market, it's just really expensive. Yeah. So I'm not crossing that bridge. Daniel Craig has confirmed he's returning for 2 more Bond films after we rumored his departure.
I knew he was going to stay on.
From Bond. It's amazing what millions of dollars will do.
Yep.
Casey Affleck says Ben is done with Batman after Justice League. Here we go again.
Yeah, we'll see.
See, I'm telling you, man, he's got to stop this shit. Where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah.
If you don't want to play Batman, fine. Finish the press. This is the big rumor that he's going to finish the press tour for Justice League, and at the end of this year, he's out. And I would not be surprised whatsoever.
I'm not going to be surprised at this point anymore. I hope that's not the case, though.
Russo brothers teased the first image from Avengers 4. It looks like Cap's glove, and it just has 4 fingers out. Some people think this may be Captain Marvel's glove. I don't know. The Instagram account for the Russo brothers had the caption, "The beginning of the end," for this image.
I assumed it has something to do with Thanos. Like it's not the gauntlet, obviously,
No.
but it's purple.
That was another kind of speculation that it was Thanos. I don't know.
I don't know if it's Thanos himself. I don't know.
Cool, though. It will be one of those things we look back on 2 years from now, 3 years from now, and be like, oh, yeah, there was nothing to that. DC has announced the next Hanna-Barbera comic book adaptation will be The Jetsons, out this November, from writer Jimmy Palmiotti. I cannot say that guy's name. Good writer.
You're normally so good with names.
Yeah. He actually writes Harley Quinn. Very successful series. Does great things with that character. So the Flintstones comic was freaking awesome.
You read it?
I read like the first 3 issues and then dropped off of it.
It was that good, huh?
It was something that I was thinking that I would rather own and trade. And
Sure.
then I proceeded to never order that trade.
That's how it goes.
I'm trying to get away from individual issues.
Yay.
Trying to read more actual books. Getting into the works of Stephen King. I picked up on Misery again last night. Want to get into the Dark Tower series. That's something I want to talk about on a later podcast.
All right.
Tom Cruise was injured on the MI6, Mission Impossible 6, doing a stunt, as he does all of his own stunts, especially for this franchise. He's 55 years old. Andrew,
He broke his ankle in 2 places, right?
yeah, is it time for him to stop doing his own stunts?
I'm no doctor, so I mean, you know, we'll see. I mean, possibly. I mean, this could have just been an accident. You know what I mean?
Speaking of accidents, how about an accident from nuclear radiation in Japan? Let's get to our featured review of Shin Godzilla. Before we dig deep on this film, let's get into a few stats from Shin Godzilla. This is a Toho production, as all the classic Japanese Godzilla films have been. It was released July 25th, 2016 in Japan. Received a very, very limited release in the United States back in August of 2016, and a year later, it was released on Blu-ray in the United States in August of 2017, hence the review for it here. Actually made my bottom of my top 10 of most anticipated films for the summer of 2016.
Yep.
It's 119 minutes. It had a $15 million budget. It did a $1.9 million domestic gross here in the United States. It raked in $77.9 million worldwide. Andrew Stokes, you're one of the biggest Godzilla fans.
Hey.
I know. I want to get your take on it. The take of RT, Rotten Tomatoes, was 84%.
Yeah.
Won several Japanese film festival awards. Andrew Stokes, why are you such a big Godzilla fan?
I don't know, man. I just grew up watching these movies on TV, I guess. I remember I rented the King Kong versus Godzilla like multiple times from our local Blockbuster.
Is he your favorite
VHS.
Godzilla foe, King Kong?
I don't know, man.
Mine's Mecha Godzilla.
Yeah, probably Mecha Godzilla for me as well.
These toys were
classic.
huge when we were kids. I know they were older films, but I'm not a big Godzilla fan. you are, my brother was. So
the first time I remember
toys.
being disappointed watching a movie, like going to the theater. Granted, I went to a drive-in. I remember was watching the 90s American Godzilla.
You know, that was the first movie I ever saw in surround sound. At the Carmike here, the old Carmike in Shelby, they didn't have surround sound. It was like nice stereo. Huh. I remember they installed surround sound in, and it was a DTS track. And I remember hearing this in 1997, being like, "Holy shit, this sounds awesome!"
I have no idea what the first movie I heard in surround sound was. I really never remember it being. Like, it was always a thing to me. I guess, I don't know.
At 97 film, a lot of promotion that summer. The whole Taco Bell tie-in.
Yeah,
we had a ton of toys.
It was a cartoon spinoff. Lasted for a couple seasons.
You know, I forgot about that until just this very moment, which shows you the impression that cartoon had on me. I don't know if my brother watched that one.
Yeah.
I re-released this past week from, speaking of the Vault, from the Confirmed Epic Podcast and the Epic Review Vault, episode 29, Retro Rewind of the Confirmed Epic Podcast, when we talked Godzilla 2014.
Wow, 2014.
Yeah, Andrew Stokes. Thinking back to that film, what are your thoughts on that one?
It wasn't as good as I was anticipating it to be.
Badass Mondo posters, though.
The original theatrical poster was badass.
Yeah, I mean, all the marketing for that movie, phenomenal.
And I think I liked it more than you guys. I want to watch it again, but obviously I didn't think it was that good because it's been 3 years and I haven't watched it again. So
I think the best way to put it is it wasn't what we were expecting.
It was in some ways and it wasn't in other ways. And I think, we'll get into a little spoilers for the beginning of this movie here, but what Bryan Cranston was so good. And then he's killed early on.
Like 35 minutes into the film.
The rest of the story just doesn't live up to what was going on with him. So that's kind of unfortunate.
And Aaron Taylor Johnson melded in that freaking movie.
He did. So the Godzilla parts I liked in that movie. Some people were disappointed. I
remember Godzilla Saves Us All was the paper headline. And it showed people clapping for Godzilla. Yay! I was like, are you freaking serious?
There's a moment like that in Shin Godzilla almost.
Which I kind of expect more here. I like the 97 Godzilla better than the 2014
Wow,
Godzilla.
Really?
Wow! Yeah, really. Because I revisited the 97 one. I bought it on Blu-ray right before we went and saw the 2014.
Yeah.
And so it was fresh on my mind. I remember I like the 97 one.
Oh, where's Matthew Broderick? Where are the giant footsteps?
He starts a taxi cab with a knife.
Where's the Kodak cameras?
I remember that. I just wanted to always start a car with a knife.
I can't remember the last time I watched that movie. I've seen it again since I watched it at the drive-in as a young disappointed child. But I haven't gone back and watched either of those films recently. So maybe I should binge them back to back.
Are you excited for the Godzilla vs. Kong in 2020?
Excited maybe isn't the right word.
Did you know? I did not know this.
Yeah.
There's another Warner Brothers solo Godzilla movie coming out between now and that movie.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Godzilla 2.
I know they're making 2. I thought it was coming out after
King
that,
of Monsters, I think is what it's called. It's going to have Vera Farmiga going back to her Bates Motel.
I knew that was coming out. I didn't realize it came out before.
It's spring 2019.
Okay. See, I'm more excited for
2019.
that. When does King Kong come out then? King Kong versus Godzilla?
2020.
Oh, okay.
The next summer.
We'll
have back-to-back years of Godzilla.
Is there another King Kong movie coming out before that?
Not that I know of.
Okay. I'm excited for King Kong versus All Monsters or whatever it's called. King of All Monsters.
Speaking of monsters, how many Japanese Godzilla films have you seen going into this? Because I just remember vague recollections of old VHS tapes.
I don't know
a
certain. Oh, really? No, I own multiple VHSs of the old Japanese Godzilla and stuff. So I don't know exactly how many I've seen. But I mean I've seen multiple. Including the original. I own the original on DVD, the Japanese and American version.
which the director is Toho, right? Considering, and that's why it's named Toho Productions.
Okay.
I'm like 90% sure on that.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and get
Gojira.
into a spoiler-free
Okay.
rendition of this review, and then we'll get to spoilers in a bit. I mean, it's a new release for an American release. I think a lot of people who wanted to see this are probably having to wait for the home video.
I have a friend. She saw it. She lives around here.
She went to Charlotte to see it.
I think she said not Hickory, but near Hickory. I think she went to a theater and saw it.
Hickory's like right outside the mount. I guess it would be considered the mountains of North Carolina.
It's a little drive for us.
Yeah, it would be like
it'd be more of a drive for you,
like
I believe.
over 2 hours for me.
Wow, really?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Hickory is a long haul.
Yeah.
So Andrew Stokes, Shin Godzilla. What are your initial thoughts on this film? Did you enjoy it?
So we should say before you and I kind of watched two different versions of this film.
Yeah.
You watched the American dubbed version, and I
watched, which
watched
was very entertaining, not from a filmmaking point of view.
Well, from a certain part of the filmmaking process.
Yeah.
And I watched the Japanese version, obviously with the American English subtitles.
Yeah, so we had two different experiences. I'm glad it worked out this way.
Yeah.
So we can kind of provide our takes on that.
Yeah.
Do you wish you would have watched it dubbed?
I normally, when I was a kid, I definitely preferred the dubbed.
Yeah.
And for some reason,
that makes sense.
The old Godzilla films, I love watching the dubbed version of them. But I'm a little torn because this movie is very dialogue heavy.
Yeah.
It is.
And I had heard that back when this was released.
Yeah. This is like it's almost like a procedural movie set in a Godzilla origin story.
It's a Japanese political thriller.
Yeah.
In a Godzilla movie.
And I'm not a slow reader, but I'm not the fastest reader. And there were definitely scenes in this movie where I feel like I'm having to fly through dialogue, like trying to keep up
especially
with what people are saying.
Meetings they're having on how to deal with Godzilla.
Yeah, there's a lot of, it's not quite Aaron Sorkin level dialogue back and forth, but it's a rapid
Japanese version.
It's some rapid fire dialogue, and there's also a lot of stuff going on. They label everything. I don't know about in the English version, but in the version I watched with the subtitles, a person pops up on screen and there's his title and his name, and then all of a sudden you're over here, title and name.
I could have used that actually. I should have watched it. With the subtitles and the English dub.
That was cool. That was fine. That was fine near the beginning because it almost having all this dialogue and having to keep up with it and stuff became kind of a slog. Yeah. Which I think was
this film felt that way. Now I had some stuff going on in my family that day. Yeah. I stopped this movie. I watched it in 3 chunks.
Okay.
I could not sit down and watch it start to finish. Now, one of those was a choice. I just had to walk away from it. And the other,
really?
I had a family emergency.
Yeah.
How did you perceive the tone of this film? Did you perceive it at all campy? Or is this just a different culture? It's a true Japanese release?
I'm not sure I saw this as campy at all.
What about when you saw that? Because in this movie, this is a mild spoiler, so skip ahead 15 seconds on your player if you need to. He has multiple forms, Godzilla.
Yeah.
Now, is that a trope of the old Japanese Godzilla films?
Not that I recall, no.
Yeah.
Not that I've ever seen.
Me either. I've never seen this. In fact, not being a Godzilla aficionado like yourself, I thought that initial slug-type monster was going to be something that Godzilla was going to come fight.
Yeah. I definitely... Well, if you skip forward 15 seconds, we're still talking about this. There was definitely when you first see this monster that's in the water. I definitely looked at him. I'm like, this guy has Godzilla elements to him, and I was like, so I assume. I assume this is like, okay, this is the monster that Godzilla is going to fight, but he's related to Godzilla somehow. And I was interested to see how he was related to Godzilla. Of course, I don't want to get too much into it and do spoilers.
He looked like Spike from Land Before Time.
Yeah.
Like a live-action Spike.
Well, live actions...
Yeah, that's a loose term there. Liberal use of the word
yeah.
live action, or the two words. I want to go back to the tone just for a minute. do you feel like the film's tone was consistent? Because when I see this kind of serious Japanese political drama playing out.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's serious. They're talking about how this is the biggest disaster since Hiroshima and Nagasaki and World War II, and you feel some emotion and some weight to that. I think it is well acted. It's just hard to take that in since it's a different language and you're watching it subbed or dubbed or both. But, like, seeing that creature, that first creature, whose spoilers is Godzilla.
Yeah.
And then seeing the serious dialogue and talking about Hiroshima and Nagasaki, I don't know, it felt like it was not the same movie.
It definitely wasn't intended to be campy. I don't feel like.
Was it just? But it was the way he moved.
It seemed like one of these old school monsters.
Yeah.
That they did in CG. Like he kind of moved that way, and I believe at least for Godzilla, some of that is a guy in a suit that they did motion capture for.
Loose use of the word motion capture.
It's a literal use of the word. So
no Andy Serkis here, guys.
No, it's definitely old school kind of Godzilla. As far as facial expressions and stuff. Well, actually, a little bit more. So, Godzilla. Well, I don't want to get into spoilers.
Yeah, save stuff for spoilers. I got a few things I want to hit before we get into spoilers. Did you like how this was framed as a disaster film? You're a big disaster guy.
Somewhat. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Cloverfield.
Yeah.
In that Cloverfield, when it came out, there was definitely elements and imagery, especially early in the movie, of September 11th. And they played off some of that, people in the streets.
The disaster looked good.
Well, yeah, and this definitely, especially early on, definitely reminded me of the 2011 tsunami. Like some of the footage when this monster's in the river, it's almost, I don't want to say a remake of some footage, like you can go online and find like a footage, people filmed. But I mean like the boats crashing down through the river and the flooding just coming over like the flood banks and people in the street next to the river, escaping while all these like water and boats are like, there's definitely imagery. It was definitely supposed to be, remind you of the 2011 tsunami. Absolutely.
I just don't see how the film can look that good with the disaster.
Yeah.
And then Godzilla just looks,
I think Godzilla's
not terrible, but not good.
Early on, yeah, it's definitely, there's definitely moments where it's like, this is like modern day TV level CGI.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
I did.
And even then, maybe not as good as some TV shows. See, they're CGI.
Do you think the characters are strong here, or do you think they're weak? How did you perceive them? It was really hard with the language barrier.
I feel the movie overall kind of feels cliche to me. It feels cliche Godzilla.
What gets me is the one lady who is from an affluent family. I don't remember the characters, nor know the character's name. And she's from the U.S. She's a United States citizen because she has goals of being president of the United States one day.
Yeah.
And that just seemed like a very outlandish leap.
Yeah.
One of my favorite scenes of this movie is...
I don't think it was that. I mean, she was a very politically minded character. She's a daughter of a senator, I believe.
Yeah.
She's obviously, she knows the president. You know what I mean? She's involved with politics, and she's supposed to be a very smart, capable woman. At one point, they said she has the intelligence, pedigrees, and coattails necessary to get ahead in life, or something like that. One of the characters mentions that of her. But it is very. It is definitely a little heavy-handed, like, I want to be president. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. It was a little, weird,
that was
a little
a better
forceful
way to put it. It was heavy-handed.
Yeah.
It felt like a big assumption to make that she could be a serious presidential candidate. Then I thought about Donald Trump. I'm like, yeah, believable.
the other character, I guess it was supposed to be, because there's one of the main male characters. There's the idea that he's going to be prime minister, and it's like the whole movie seems to kind of keep pushing him towards that direction.
We're in a small world, but everybody's killed, so that's somewhat believable.
Well, no, it makes sense while there's these political.
That's not a spoiler. It's a disaster Godzilla movie. A lot of people's going to die. You should know that.
But I mean, so I guess that's supposed to be the idea. There is like there are these two counterparts. I mean,
there's a lot more I want to talk about.
Okay.
I want to wait till spoilers.
Okay.
Before we do that, would you recommend this film?
If you're a Godzilla fan, yeah, go ahead and check this out. But it's definitely
watch it on demand or something before you add it to your collection.
Yeah, it's interesting because one of the things that people criticized from the newest American one was, it took so long for Godzilla to get on screen, and there wasn't a lot of action, like monster action and stuff. And I really kind of defended that because I don't know, that's just kind of what I was going into that movie expecting. And I wasn't sure what to expect from this. Because like the last Japanese Godzilla film was like very action heavy. I haven't seen that one, but from what I understand,
what year was that? Do you know?
It's been a little while. I don't remember.
2000s?
Yeah,
Okay.
Definitely. I believe it's the one where he fought the American Godzilla. Like the American Godzilla was like a separate monster. Like
man.
Godzilla Final Wars.
I want to watch that now.
You could catch that. He destroys him in like a second.
Oh,
the guy
man.
he runs up to him, and Godzilla I think just like shoots him in the face with like fire breath and just kills him or something. But anyway, but this movie's very slow.
It's weird. It's oddly paced because when you think you're getting into the action, it'll pull back. Yeah, it's really uneven.
It's very not action heavy. There's very little action in this movie.
Yeah, and I'm gonna ask you after the spoiler reel and
Okay.
closing question.
Okay.
Is this better than the 2014 film? Don't answer that yet.
But going back to the subtitles real quick, though, I feel like early on in the film, having all of these subtitles on screen, because I was talking about how they introduced characters and they put their titles and their name on screen, and I'm talking like every character's like this. But then they start when the military starts getting engaged. They put out like the names of all the different, like, this is the whatever regiment, this is the whatever tank, and it's like they labeling everything. And at first I thought it was almost like this plays into what they were trying to do at the beginning of the film. The beginning of the film is they're trying to show how slow the red tape can make things in a disaster, and how democracy can sometimes not be the quickest way to answer issues in a society. And the subtitles, I think, kind of played into this, where it's like, man, like I was feeling bogged down with all this information that I was getting, and it almost tied into that, but I'm not sure if that was necessarily intentional or not.
There's some interesting callbacks to Imperial Japan too, and being a fan of history, I mean, I appreciated some of that stuff. But let's go ahead and roll the reel forward to spoilers for Shin Godzilla. So what were your thoughts on Godzilla and his 4 forms?
I mean, it was definitely a surprise. It was definitely a
bad surprise. He looked like shit the second. I mean, the first form, it is what it is. I think it was almost meant to look cheesy and babyish. The other 2 forms were a waste of time. I get he's not going to evolve from baby slug spike Godzilla into full-grown man Godzilla. Yeah. But I think by the time he is in that 4th form, the scale of him is captured very well. Yeah. He doesn't... do you think he looks bad in his fully grown form? No. Yeah, I think he looks good. I think he looks cool. I mean, it's not my favorite looking Godzilla ever. Yeah. I mean, it looks very classic Godzilla. It's definitely different than some of the old school Godzilla. I mean, there's been different Godzillas over time. I like the glow and reddish pinkish sheen.
I enjoyed he had like this modern movie. Maybe some people probably wouldn't like this because it may be cliche, but he had that lower jaw that separates out when he
I was mixed on that. Didn't love it. Didn't hate it.
It was a nice surprise. I'm not sure I wouldn't. My Godzilla doesn't have that, you know what I mean? But it was nice. And when he was shooting his blasts and stuff, like his atomic breath and stuff, that was really cool, I thought.
Yeah. How'd you think the plan played out to destroy Godzilla? Because they got about 48 hours to come up with a plan to stop Godzilla. Now, this is one of my favorite parts of the movie. Okay. Not the ending. Okay. It's when they get these guys in a room, some of the smartest minds in Japan, to try to find out. Now, it's very unrealistic how this happens, but to try to figure out how to defeat Godzilla. So, long story short, they freeze him. Yeah.
from the inside.
But when they bring in all these people, they're like, this is a big assembly of geeks, nerds.
Yeah.
I just started laughing my ass off. It's like,
yeah.
Did anybody really say this? I mean, maybe
Sure.
Donald Trump, but
yeah.
I don't know. I just thought that all the stuff when they're in that room.
That was a little humorous.
It was.
Yeah.
And that was actually humor I enjoyed. I like, outside the Godzilla stuff, I would say the stuff with those geeks and nerds in that room trying to figure out how to defeat this beast.
Yeah.
And how they tied that into Japan kind of being, and for obvious reasons, had their military power limited since World War II. I think they tied everything together neatly.
So there's an interesting part in this movie. There's early on when Godzilla reemerges from the ocean, and he's in his full form, it looks like. And there's this scene where he's like starting to walk through this small town, okay? And people are running and whatnot, but there's a scene where like his tail like sweeps right over the buildings above us. And some people are, running, and everybody's kind of scared, but some people are there taking pictures, you know what I mean?
That was
and it's
weird, but it was a cool shot.
It was a cool shot, but that kind of stuck with me. And then later in the film, the Japanese government and the military has basically tried everything and like, all right, we need the U.S.'s help. And as somebody, like, we have a lot of films nowadays where there's certain parts that are supposed to appeal to the Chinese market.
Transformers.
And I kind of felt like when they're like, okay, we're bringing the U.S. military.
Yeah.
I had a moment of, oh, this must be what like the Chinese feel. but then immediately after that, they're like, they send out a message through the city. The U.S. is coming to drop bombs on the monsters, and people run like crazy.
That was
like,
Hiroshima and Nagasaki flashback.
I'm like, these people are more scared of like the U.S. bombs than they are of this giant monster right next to them. I'm like, what does that say? Like, what's the message
probably
here?
The filmmaker was trying to evoke that as well.
Probably. I mean, there's a lot of talk about that. Yeah, I don't know too much about the whole 2011 earthquake, tsunami, and then Fukushima meltdown, other than those events specifically. So, like, I don't know if maybe you know.
You ever seen the movie The Impossible?
Is that the Indonesian one?
It's about the tsunami. I guess it's not about the one in Japan.
No, it's
that's the one that's got Tom Holland in it.
It's on my queue.
That's not the Japanese tsunami.
Right.
All right.
Is it good though?
Oh, it's great.
Tom Holland's in that?
That's his first movie.
Oh, I gotta watch it now.
Yeah.
I've been meaning to watch it for a few months now. Anyway, so I don't know if there was like a lot of criticism of like the government not being there for people or something, or the whole evacuation process, because there's a lot of focus on this movie about the government needing to, do everything right, and the government didn't do everything right the first time Godzilla showed up in this movie, and how slow it moved. There was a big criticism of the government here, it felt like. So,
did you think that the film's climax was lackluster and they froze him and he just... it's cool because you're almost like he's going to be a monument in Japan, then he just cracks, right?
I
think that's what happened.
He didn't fall apart.
He didn't?
Nah. He was still standing at the end of the movie.
Shows you the impression that this film made on me.
The end of the movie...
That was cool.
It shows his tail, and I believe they were like little creatures on his tail.
Oh, I didn't even catch that. And Abby was just getting home from work, and I was trying to finish the movie.
I think that was the implication. I mean, it's frozen, it's hard to tell, but something fell off him at one point, and I thought it was implied. It almost reminded me of the American 90s Godzilla. I think something fell off of him, and I thought it was implied that this would be another creature. And that they were worried about him spreading throughout the world and stuff like that.
Did you think the ending and the plot to defeat him by freezing him was lackluster? At one point, it's almost like... So they bombed the shit out of him. Yeah. Then it's like a dentist putting stuff in your mouth to numb it or to clean it out. Yeah. After you're having dental work done, and they just freeze him. It's like, okay. I mean, it's not terrible. But...
The first scene where the U.S. bombers come in was cool. And they actually damaged him.
USA.
But yeah, I get what you're saying. I don't know. I liked it. I kind of liked the plot of them trying to figure out. They had that map of like his genome or something, whatever it was, and they figured out they had to fold it like an origami thing to like make sense of it and stuff. Project. And I thought that was cool. It was a little weird, and the CGI is still very CGI in these scenes. But I don't know, I felt a little something when like the first team that's in there gets blasted away by him and is completely killed and stuff, and it's this one guy's plan coming to fruition though. I
never feel sympathetic toward the beast of Godzilla in this movie.
No.
And I mean, I don't think that was what they were going for, but...
No, I don't think it was.
Is this better than the 2014 film?
I don't know about that. See, this felt very cliche, though, in the whole, like, nuclear option. Like, there's a fair amount of this movie dedicated to, can we drop the bomb? Should we drop the bomb? They're going to drop the bomb, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it's just so cliche, and you like. I feel like you know where this movie's going the whole time. The only real surprise was what is Godzilla transforming. Yeah, like that's everything else is kind of paint by numbers. You have the guy that knows everything. You know, what if it's a creature? Oh, it's not a creature. Oh, it is a creature. What if we do this? We couldn't do that. Oh, we should have done that. You know what I mean? Like it felt very cliche.
It's about the same as the 2014 film. Now, the 2014 film wasn't necessarily cliche. It was just dull. This isn't dull, I don't think. It's just cliche.
It felt dull. It felt a little long at some points. It's only 2 hours.
That's long for this movie, though.
It
did feel long. So let's go ahead and give this film a rating. Andrew Stokes, what would you give Shin Godzilla?
I think I'm going to give it a 8.5.
8.5? Yeah. I'm going to give it a good. I actually enjoyed the Godzilla parts. I enjoyed the callbacks and historical references of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The political stuff was a little sloppy, but hey, it's a foreign culture, so it may have been hard for me to take it in.
I get what they were going for, and I kind of... Maybe I'll watch the American version. I'm not sure that'd really help the English dub. Yeah. I'm kind of interested in it. The Godzilla...
I own this movie now because of this podcast, so...
Yeah, I own the digital copy now. The Godzilla stuff was cool. There was some cool stuff in there. And the music felt very old school Godzilla. The music was really cool.
Was awesome.
And the Godzilla sound effects were all cool. You know what I mean? It felt old school Godzilla, even though this is a completely fresh reboot of, they've never seen Godzilla or anything like it before.
And again, going back, the disaster elements were captured very well.
It just wasn't creepy. Like the original Godzilla is still creepy to me. Like there's
like 1954.
Yeah, and there's a scene early on in that where these people are running over this hill, and there's this claymation Godzilla coming, peeking up over the hill.
I remember that part.
And it's like, that's still, I watched it maybe like 5 years ago, still got my heart racing. Like, it's still like, oh my God. And it's like these awful effects, I'm sure it was very good for the time, but even then, it's like, clearly this is a fake monster. And nowadays, it's definitely not good effects at all. But even today, it's still like, gets my heart racing somewhat. And I didn't really feel that too much.
Used to watch that scene over and over and over.
It's a good scene.
When we were growing up, had it on VHS. So you give it an 8.5. Yeah. I give Shin Godzilla a good. We're pretty close on the ratings here.
Yep.
Andrew Stokes, where can people find more of you?
You can follow me on Twitter at AKA Andrew Stokes. You can find random articles by me on the Epic Reviews website, thepicreview.com. And that's probably it. You can also find me locally at the Imperial Emporium in Shelby, North Carolina, where I hang out every once in a while. So if you're in the area, come check out that game store. It's a cool place to hang out.
You can find us on Instagram.
I don't work there or own any. It's just a random plug for a local business I like.
And we do have some local listeners. You can check out Epic Geek Imagery Daily on our Instagram account. Just follow Confirmed Epic Podcast. Follow me on Twitter at The Real Brad Bell, TheREEL Brad Bell. Follow us on the Stardust Movie Review app at Confirmed Epic. You can add me on Facebook at Real Brad, REEL Brad. Of course, Andrew Stokes updates the Confirmed Epic Podcast Facebook page
occasionally,
for us, so you can like us on there. Again, keep up with Hokey Halloween Horror. If you're a fan of the Halloween season or horror movies, our next review for Anthology August will be the Stephen King, George Romero collaboration horror anthology Creepshow. So I'm looking forward to that. Go buy a shirt. Even if you're not a horror fan, buy one of our normal shirts. Confirmed Epic Podcast shirts, Epic Review shirts, Thank You Bob Reed shirts, tpublic.com/user/TheRealBradBell. Email Andrew's wearing one right now, and it looks damn good. Email any questions, comments, or concerns to thepicreview, theepicreview@gmail.com. Make sure you're checking out the epicreview.com, Geeks Worldwide at thegw.com. Check out Jerry's toy reviews, served up hot and fresh, not daily, but weekly. And you can find our podcast on there as well at actionfigurebarbecue.com, barbecue spelled out. Andrew Stokes, I think next week we're going to be counting down our top 10 most anticipated films of fall-winter 2017. So this will go from September to December.
Yeah.
Stay tuned to see what number 1 will be next week. From the Hollywood foothills of North Carolina, we are out.
That's all I have to say about that.
This has been a production of the GWW Radio Network. Please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. Also, check out Geeks Worldwide at thegww.com for all the latest news, reviews, and opinions on video games, comics, movies, TV, cosplay, and more. Geeks, assemble!